keep it equal. Get it GQ for LGBTQ. We keep it simple, but keep it equal. Blood of what's up? Blood of what's up? Blood of what's up? Blood of what's up?
What's going on, social media land?
Hey.
Hey. Y'all know what time it is. It's Thursday. It's 7 o'clock. And it's the Unleashed Voice Talk Show. We in this thing and we live. And we got our good friend in the studio with us tonight. But before we go any further, we're going to kick this thing over to DMin. Do you have any rants?
Yes. I'll segue Dr. Foster into her discussion tonight.
Okay.
I want to bring up Andrew Gilliam. For those of you who don't know him, he was a candidate for the governor of Florida in, was it 2019?
Mm-hmm.
And he lost to, they cheated him. He didn't lose, they cheated. And nevertheless, he was caught in a hotel room, extracurricular activities. He did an interview the other day, and in the interview he said he was identified as bisexual. His wife said she knew about it, and that was the talk of the town. And now we have a sitcom or a TV show called P-Valley, where Lil Murda is in love with a individual who is gender fluent, Uncle Clifford, and people are angry about that. And it's really sad that these Western culture Christians, the black folks, are so brainwashed that they allow religion to block their views and make them small-minded. And that's one of the reasons that, in my opinion, Andrew Gilliam did not come out before, because if he would have come out before, he would have not received the amount of votes that he received in Florida during that time. His career would not be where it is right now. And it's really sad you cannot live your life with unity and harmony without being criticized, ostracized, being talked about, such as in the movie where Lil Murda can't show his love to Uncle Clifford because of society, because of his image. And we have to learn from the past ancestors. And Dr. Foster's going to talk about this more, but this word that she's going to talk about means go back and get it. And we need to go back to our ancestors, Dr. Malcolm X, and get unity and harmony. Until black folks come together with unity and harmony, we're going to continue to suffer, and we will not get it. But if we ever come together with unity and harmony, go back and get it, what he taught us, we will go further in life. And that's what's on my mind. Let Andrew Gilliam live. Let Lil Murda live in P-Valley. Let everyone love who you want to love. Love does not discriminate. And if we can understand that sexuality is very complicated, but it's very simple. Love is love. Leave people alone. But that's why Andrew Gilliam did not come out to the public, and that's why he's going through what he's going through now, because of black folk and their hypocritical religious stance they have been taught by that Western culture white man. And that's what's on my mind.
That's real good. That's
So
real good.
I got a word I want to for the people to take away. I'm gonna type it and put it on the screen before while you doing your thing, Dr. Foster. It's called social construct. Social construct.
That's good.
Pretty much everything that we do has been socially constructed and designed for us to live a certain way. So
Yes.
even human sexuality is a social construct. Like Uncle Cliff is non-binary. So what that means, he doesn't identify with male or female. He just lives in the spectrum of individual who loves who he wants to love and express it through the spirit. That's what he is attracted to. And people don't begin to understand that even the male and female is a social construct, and they start molding us like at a kid. When you're a baby, they have pink for girls and blue for boys.
Yeah.
So that's socially constructed. And then what happens when a little boy won't want to wear pink?
Come on. Come on.
Everybody, boys can't wear pink. That's for girls. Or what happens like the little boy that like to play with the doll? You know, so how can you teach him how to be a nurturer if you forbid him from nurturing a baby doll, or even seeing a woman or a female through that construct of an image? So we don't really understand, you know, how we've been programmed, and that a lot of us live our lives on default. You know, we just take what's been told to us, what mama, big mama, and all of that, and then it becomes our life. And I give you an example. I didn't choose to be a Christian. I didn't choose to be a Baptist. I was drugged to church, and this was my home church forever, ever. And I got baptized, and that was my pastor. I didn't pick Reverend Joseph McGee. My mom picked Reverend Joseph McGee.
Oh, that's
and
good.
She picked him because my granddad went to the church. So
that's good.
You know, we don't. And then you be like, well, how you know you a Christian? You know, how do you know that this is really what you believe?
That's good. We're gonna talk. Look, we're gonna dive into all of that tonight. But I will say this to Davin's rant. And my partner and I, we talked about this, and I think that I've kind of been over the idea of people having to announce their sexuality to the world, right? I think that is it's a perversion that we have. Really, I don't know if it's an American thing or what. That if I have to tell you how I have sex, right? If I tell you that I'm a lesbian, then you know what I'm doing. If I tell you that I'm a gay man, then you know what I'm doing. If I tell you that I'm bisexual, then you know what I'm doing. Why do we have to announce what we're doing? Because that's all it is. When it boils, that's all it is. Now everybody knows as a bisexual man what that means. That is none of our business.
I totally agree.
But
it does not dictate that he's going to be a great policymaker, and has been a great policymaker. And he's from FAMU, and I'm from FAMU, so you know I'm supporting him. You know, none of that. Our sexuality dictates none of it.
Well, you know what? And it's so funny. We can jump into your piece.
Yeah.
I ran for local government here, city council here in Memphis, Tennessee in 19. We had a great campaign. We worked our ass off. We got out here. We ran against a veteran politician. But the only reason I lost that election is because he paid a local talk show host to discuss myself, Darnell, my mom, the radio show, to talk about my sexuality.
Right.
And once he told the voters, and I lived in a district where it's a lot of older black voters, that I was gay, they were hesitant to vote for me. But before he did that, I was winning in the polls. And when they did that, which we knew we were prepared for this. Right. That was the only reason I lost. And my point is, black people are so hypocritical, and so, believe it or not, black folks really are. They say they are liberal, but they're really conservative when it comes to sexuality.
That's real good. That's real good.
They need to go back and be Republicans or something. But black folks in church are really conservative when it comes to sexuality to other people. But they can do everything they want to do under the sun. But when it comes to other people and being gender fluent, LGBTQ, it's an issue.
Yeah, and again, I don't understand why it's anybody's business. I don't. I think it's a very perverse way of thinking. That is what I have come to terms with. Like, if you care that much, that is problematic.
I agree.
It was kind of like Will and Jada when she decided that she wanted to talk about her entanglement, and I had a fit that day. I know people thought something was gone. I had lost it. I think I was like Facebook, Twitter for like 2-3 hours straight. Right. Because I wish I could have just been her for like 5 minutes. I would have let y'all had it. I wouldn't have told y'all nothing.
Yeah, not a single thing. Not a single thing to business. And when we've been saying, mind the business that pays you.
Right. So I think that's a great show. And I think that we got a lot of unpacking to do, especially with Andrew Gilliam and bisexuality. So we're going to come back and circle and deep dive into that because it needs to be talked about.
Yes.
But tonight we got our good friend, Dr. Lakara Foster, with us again. And we solicited her to teach us about ancient African rituals and in particular the teachings of Sankofa, like what this mean. And so people began to understand, like when people want to have their little stones, and I got my oxidizing rock over here.
That's real good.
Your sage and your candles and all these things, and where it's rooted and where it come from. And the reason we're doing this is because our project is called The Roots. And this is part 4, where we are trying to educate our listeners and our viewers about the subtle ways that white supremacy has undermined Afrocentric culture. Like where we come from, like the things that are really kindred to our spirit, and how they turned and pivoted and made us believe that these things were evil.
That's real good.
And that it was against God's will.
That's good.
So we solicited Dr. Foster to come in and to talk to us, to help us understand, so that we can take our blinders off and we can stop looking at people because we don't really understand, and we draw opinions that are really, really false, and it has no substance or nothing to stand on. So we're going to turn this thing over to you. I'm going to highlight your screen. We're going to minimize ourselves, and we're going to let you go.
Okay.
Have it simple.
All right.
You can introduce yourself to our viewers and listeners, and tell them a little bit about yourself. And we out of here.
All right. Well, I appreciate being on here. I love coming and having conversations with my Unleashed family all the time. And so, again, I am Dr. Lakara Foster. I am an author. I'm a professor. I am a medium. I'm also a minister. And I am getting ready to open up a store here in Atlanta called Lakara with the Gift. And I'm going to tell you guys more about that and how that kind of segues into what's happening and what's going on here, right? So I was asked to talk about the principle or the philosophy of Sankofa and what does that mean. And so for me, when I was sitting down and I was thinking about how am I going to introduce this, when was I introduced to it? So I had to really, really go back, and I ain't going to tell y'all my age, right? But I was first introduced to the philosophy or the idea of Sankofa as a freshman in college, and I attended Florida A&M University. I am originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I would like to believe that the school I attended was very diverse, the high school I attended. And so getting to FAMU, which is a historically Black university, it was like, okay, like this is, I know I'm about to find out something here. Like I just knew that about myself. I was getting ready to learn something. And my major was psychology. And there's an incredible Black psychology program at FAMU. And so here I am. When I got to college, I was 17, getting ready to turn 18. So I was really young. And so being in this classroom, and we're getting ready to be, we were introduced to the idea of Egyptology. We were introduced to the idea that we were the Egyptian people. We were learning about Egyptian concepts. We were learning about what it meant to be African, what it meant to be African in America, what it meant to be African American. And so here we are being introduced to this concept of Sankofa. And I'm going to tell you my story, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about all that word actually means. And so fast forward 20 years, I was in a relationship, and I was in a relationship that did not honor my purpose. It did not honor my destiny. It did not honor God, right? And I knew that this relationship, I know it was a relationship I should have gotten out of a long time ago, but my ego had something to prove, right? Imagine that, right? My ego gonna show God what God already showed me. And so here I am, I'm in this relationship, but nothing's moving. For 2 years, nothing's moving. Now, prior to this, I had written a book, I had done some things, but now I'm in this space and it's static and it's stagnant and nothing is moving. Now, I believe that we serve a living God. And anything that is living is also moving. And I believe that God had already moved out of this space. But me and my ego and my silly self, we stayed here, right? And so once the relationship ended is when things began to move again. And I was getting ready to do a workshop. Now, I believe prior to that, in that space that I was in, God was like, no, you're not gonna have no workshop. You're not gonna do anything around with my women, right? So nothing was panning out. And immediately when I got out of this space, God said, okay, we're gonna do this workshop. I need you to go back to doing the workshop. And the workshop was to be called Sankofa, because God was saying, I need you to go back and get some things. And the workshop was, the retreat was amazing. In fact, that was in 2016. Fast forward to 2017, I'm hearing the Holy Spirit say, you got to go to school. You got to go get your doctorate. So the only school that I applied to and was accepted to and got in was the ITC right here in Atlanta, the Interdenominational Theological Center, where one of the guiding principles is Sankofa. Now, I'm not knowing any of this as I'm applying and going. And so, and I'm learning about more and more about what it means, what Sankofa means. And then I graduate 2 years later and I'm asked to do a graduation speech. And I'm like, God, what am I going to talk about? God said, you're going to talk about Sankofa, right? And then here I am in 2020. And in the middle of the pandemic, I am being asked to do a candle collection. The Spirit is telling me you got to do a candle collection. And this candle collection is to be called the Sankofa Candle Collection. And then I'm talking to Elder Gwen, and Elder Gwen is saying, hey, you know what? We in alignment, right? Because we're also doing some things on Sankofa. And then I'm being asked to start a store. And I have this store where God is saying this is going to be the Sankofa healing space, right? So Sankofa has been showing up over and over and over and over again in my life. And it has been my point. And every time that I have been about to make a major step forward, a major leap forward, go back and get something. So now we're going to talk about what Sankofa means, right? We're going to break this thing down. So we talk about the fact that Sankofa is a word in the tree language of Ghana, which means to go back and get it, right? To go back and get it. It is represented by a mythical bird, if you will. And this bird, its feet is facing forward. But its head is facing backwards, and it has an egg in its mouth, and the egg represents the future. So it has to go back in order to be able to go forward. It has to go back and get the future in order for it to go forward. Now that thing I'm telling you, every time
That's good.
Isn't that good? Every time the fact that what's even more profound about it is that the egg, which represents the future, is in its mouth. Right, which to me signify what you speak. Right, we talk about giving life or death. Right, this future is in its mouth, so we got to be careful what we speak and what we talk about, and how we speak over people and how we speak over ourselves. And so again, I talk about how every time I'm getting ready to make a major move in my life, that God has reminded me that I needed to go back. And so when we look at the word Sankofa, we talk about this word. We talked about what it looks like in terms of the bird. We say san, right, means to return. Ko means to go, and fa means to fetch, to seek, or to take, right? Sankofa. And we talked about how it's represented. Now we talk about what are we going back to get, right? What does it mean? That what are we going back to get? And I believe that the fact that we got to go back and we got to get those ideals, those customs, and those values that we've lost along the way. That's what we got to go back in, right? We got to go back and get those things. Now, this was so interesting to me because when I was picturing this, because I was saying, how do we go back? What does that look like? Because I'm very visual sometimes, and Spirit shows me a relay race. Right, Spirit shows me a relay race, and so I start looking up relay races because I'm like, I need to see this thing, right? And so when we look at the relay race, we look at the fact that there are 4 runners in this race, and each runner is going to run 100 meters, right? And the important part is that one runner is passing off the baton to the next runner. That's a very critical part of the race here, that they're passing this baton on to the next runner. And so when I'm looking at it, one thing that I saw is that in order for this thing to work, in order for this thing to be effective, the runner that's in the back has to reach it forward, but the runner who's in the front has to reach back and get it. Right? They got to reach back and get it. Now this thing it's a beautiful dance that has to happen, right? Now, let me tell you how the Holy Spirit even broke this thing down. because it's showing me why we are in such a critical place right here, right now, in this year of 2020. Because when we talk about the fact that the first slaves arrived here in America in 1619, right? Well, in 2019, that would have represented 400 years. Right. And we talk about 400 years and we talk about 400 meters. Right. And we talk about every 100 years we're passing this baton that's happening. Well, what's so critical, I was thinking, was that it's called the changeover box, is where the baton is passed. Right. And it says the changeover box is the special area on the track where one runner hands the baton to the next. Right. And for me, it was like, wow, like this is where we are in the year 2020. We are literally in the changeover box, and we are talking about how critical and how crucial these years are, where we're getting ready to hand over to the next generation. And for me, when we look at what I wanted to talk about tonight was Sankofa as it related to spirituality. Right? What do we got to go back and get that we got to pass forward? And for me, what I looked at, one was where I am and where I look at it is, we got to be unapologetically who we are. We got to be unapologetically who we are. We got to figure out who we are, and then we got to be unapologetic about who we are, right? So I looked at the fact that we in the relay for our life, y'all. This is where we are. We are in the relay for our life. Right. We are literally in a race for our race. And now let me tell you what was also so powerful here, because I actually looked at this thing, and I believe these sisters were trying to qualify for the Olympics. And I think I can't remember if it was 2012 or 2016, but at any rate, the American team, it was 4 Black women. The American team, because I even looked at the fact, I said, well, what happens can you get disqualified if you drop the baton, right? Because I feel like sometimes we dropping the baton and I don't be dropping the baton. And so I said, well, what happens? Can you get disqualified? Well, this is what I discovered. In this race, one of the runners was bumped by another country. They were bumped by Brazil, and she dropped the baton. Well, her partner told her to pick up the baton and keep running. You got to finish the race, right? And after you finish the race, then we're going to protest. Oh, this is so good, y'all. You understand what I'm saying? Then we're going to protest. Keep running, though. Keep running, because then we're going to protest. Now, they protested, and the fact that she dropped the baton was caused by another runner. The other runner disrupted her race, right? And so, but they had to pick it up and keep running so that they could go ahead into the protest. And that's where we are in the protest. Now they protested. Now, like, get this. This is the part that tripped me out. They protest the race. They were then allowed to run again by themselves on an empty track with nothing in their way. Right? Just them four, just their own race, nothing else in the way. And they beat everybody else's qualifying time, which then puts them, I guess, they were able to compete for the gold. Now, I don't know if they won the gold, but that wasn't the point of it, right? The fact is that our race was interrupted, right? And I just believe that we're in a moment now where we are protesting. Right? We are protesting what has happened to us over the last 400 years. And we're about to enter into a moment where we're going to be on this track by ourselves. But we have to know, like you said, we have to know the rules, right? We have to go back and get it. Every generation has to be willing to take a little something from behind and also willing to pass a little something forward. Y'all see where I'm going with this?
Yes, I agree totally.
That thing was so good to me. So we talk about Sankofa. We talk about the fact that Sankofa is really about gathering or going back to get the best of what the past has taught us. It's about going back and get the best of what the past has taught us, right? About what we have lost, about what's been stripped away, about what we can reclaim, revive, and preserve and perpetuate. Now, this was something when I was meditating on this, and I was talking to God and really trying to understand this. This is what I came up with, right? And I said the first thing is that we were separated from our native land, right? And the trauma that has taken place. A big part of the problem is, especially even in America, is that to experience or to activate Sankofa really means we got to look back at this whole thing, right? And people don't really want to look back at comma, but we got to turn around and we got to look back at it. So we were separated from our native land. So first we were separated, and then we were alienated. Right? We were alienated from our indigenous cultures, our customs, our language, and our spirituality. We were alienated from our spirituality. And then we get castigated, right? For our natural desire to connect and align with what we know is our true identity. Then people want to say we are wrong for this, right? We are wrong for what is so, because what you guys are in the church, so y'all know this ain't nothing new, right? You can look, you can Google it, right? There's been a exodus of people that are leaving the church. They're leaving. Black people who are ain't making this up, right? So for me, the thought to try to understand was that I don't think that people are necessarily wanting to leave the church. I just think that people are feeling like they aren't getting the truth about it, right? That they aren't getting the truth about it. That what's being taught isn't aligning with what is internal for them. Now, my thoughts about this, because my thought was, there are going to be people who struggle with how do I reconcile, right, this religion, right, that I know was used to oppress my people, right? Now, here's the reality of it, because I just really think you got to understand, you got to study the history. And for me, I've already reconciled it. Now, some people got to go and reconcile it on their own, but I've already reconciled this. Now, what I looked at was, one, and this is the truth of the matter here. When we came to America, when we were brought to America, there was no problem with us practicing our indigenous religion. Right, there was no problem with it at all, because they didn't know what we were doing. Right, they didn't know what we were doing. It wasn't until the white missionaries came in and was telling the slave masters, "Hey, this is how you control and make your slaves meek. You use this Bible here." Right. And what was even more interesting was that they said you use this Bible, but then they took out some parts. Y'all can Google this, right? The slave Bible. They took out the parts, right? They only kept the parts in that talked about you got to be meek and mild, right? You got to obey your masters. And then you went from 66 books to like 3 books. I don't know. Right. And so, so people are wrestling with how do I still connect to this? Now, I'm gonna tell you what it is for me. For me, it is really about, I love Jesus, right? And I've always wanted to know more about Jesus. Christianity was not forced down my throat, right? Christianity was not imposed upon me. I wanted to know who Jesus was. And I believe for me, Jesus is the master or the teacher that I wish to study under. I want to know more about the greater works. I want to know more about the miracles. I want to know more about, because for me, it was Jesus was really trying to teach us about our own personal power. Right. It wasn't about necessarily being dependent on the power of the pastor or the power of the church. It was about figuring out what our own personal superpower is, if you will. Right. Maybe it ain't to walk on water. Maybe it's to communicate with loved ones who passed on. I don't know. Right. So whatever our personal power is, I believe that to me, that is what Jesus was trying to teach us how to connect with. And I honor that. In the sense of, I know that I can connect with Jesus. I can also connect with Oshun. I can also connect with Yemiya. I can also study ancient other African, other religions. Our grandmothers and great grandmothers, they didn't have the luxury of that, right? So they did have Jesus. And I know that Jesus helped my grandma make it through, right? I know that, right? And so I honor that. I honor Jesus for that. And so there is not a separation for me. I don't have to leave something in order to be in the face of something else, right? I just truly believe. And I think the other thing too is when we talk about, for some people, it may feel like double consciousness, right? Yes. W.E.B. Du Bois talked about the double consciousness of being an African or the Negro in America, right? And really trying to reconcile the fact that we didn't really have an identity. Right? Or our identity was given to us. And so Sankofa for me is really about going back and figuring out who you are. You are, without affirmation, without permission, without comfort. You know what I mean? We don't need any of it to figure out who you are. And I think so many people, and I think for me, that is was the bothersome part of the Andrew Gilliam thing, because I was trying to decide, Did he need affirmation? Did he need something from us? Because I'm not giving nobody that power. I'm not giving, I ain't got to come out. And I feel like, as we talk about passing this baton on, this next generation, they ain't coming out.
No, they're not.
You have to come on in. They ain't coming out. Right? Because the coming out for us was really about the need for the affirmation, the need for the confirmation, the need for the church to affirm who we were in God. I'm clear. That's clear.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, I'm very clear. And I think that sometimes the clarity, people confuse the clarity with audacity. It is. It is. I mean, imagine that, right? Because I just believe that, and I talked to Elder Beverly about this yesterday. I said, because I believe that we're supposed to be clear on who we are, right? Jesus was clear on who Jesus was.
Yes.
When somebody said, well, who they told you I was.
I know that's right.
Clear. Jesus had to flip them out, y'all. If all that stuff they were saying was true, Jesus had to real flip them out. Who they say I am, right? That's why I know Jesus was black, okay?
Right.
I said what I said. Okay.
Hello.
Okay. So I believe that we are we're supposed to get clear, and Sankofa is really about going back and getting the best of who we are, so that we get clear in this moment. I said it before. I don't need another. I hope nobody else have to preach another sermon on sexuality in the Black church. I'm over it. I'm completely. I'm over it. God don't like. I'm just over it. I'm over it. I'm clear on who God created me to be, right? And what people are going to learn. If you ever read this book called Conversations with God, it's one of the best books I've ever read. It's amazing. And one thing that he talks about in this book is he's having this conversation with God, and he's asking God about gender, and God tells him that gender is the biggest illusion. Ain't that something?
That's Don O'Neill, right?
Yeah, that's right, Don O'Neill. Gender is the biggest illusion.
You freezing up a little bit, doctor. Don O'Neill, right?
Yeah, that's right, Don O'Neill. Gender is the biggest illusion.
We lost her?
Yeah, I think we did. So we're going to let her click out and click back in. Ooh, that was good to me. So that's that internet. So Dr. Foster was really, really preaching and teaching. And you guys come in. We got her right back. All right, here we go.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. The enemy ain't going to hear all of that. See what I'm talking about?
Listen, you get good, they want to cut you off.
Listen, I understand. But at any rate, that is what to me the Sankofa teaching is really all about, is for us to reach back and get the best of who we are, the best of who we are, the best of our ideals, our customs, our culture. We talk about it, and I know we talked a second ago when you were talking about the crystals and the sage and all of these things. And I think that people are feeling like they have to choose between, because somebody told them you can't be Christian and charge your crystals, or somebody told them you can't be Christian and sage. Like, we got to stop allowing people to tell us what feels good to us and what we can align with, right? I just believe that we got to stop allowing that. And so, and of course, I'm asking God this question, right? Because my store will sell crystals and sage and a lot of other spiritual tools and oils and different things that we can use. And so when I was having this conversation with God, right, because I talked to God just like I'm talking to y'all, and I said, talk to me, God, about the crystals and help me understand the power in the crystals and why is there power in the crystals. And what God began to show me or teach me was that, God said, well, I made man from the dirt. Right? Hello. I made man from the earth. right? I made man from the earth. And then God took me to the fact that when Jesus got ready to heal the blind man, that Jesus used the dirt, right? Which would then suggest that there is healing powers right in the earth. So if there's healing powers in the earth and these crystals come from the earth, then there's got to be healing powers in the crystals. And what's wrong with using them if Jesus used the dirt? Come on now. I can't see y'all on the screen. Y'all can't see Gwen. I can't see y'all on the screen. I don't know what happened. But anyway, I'm just talking here. Right? And so when people are asking, this is coming because what God knows about me is sometimes I can intellectualize some things, and sometimes I got to go and I got to get the message. God, you got to tell me what to tell the people so that they can understand. Right. And this is what God said. God took me to the very beginning to say, no, I created man from the earth. And Jesus used the earth to make the spittle for the blind man to be able to see this. So there are healing properties in the things, and sage grows from the ground. So why would people try to condemn or try to demonize but see, here's the power. This is the real reason, right? Because if we ever really truly understood the power that we have, right, even as a race of people, right, if we really understood that power, we'd be a force to be reckoned with. We'd be completely reckoned with. And I truly believe that there are forces that want to keep us from understanding who we are and the power that we have. And that is why I can't disconnect from Jesus. That is why I won't disconnect from Jesus, because I believe that this is what Jesus was trying to teach us. And if we ever get to the true teachings of Jesus, and for those of us who are interested, we would become forces to be reckoned with. I believe that. So that's what I have, y'all. That is what I have. Y'all tell me what questions y'all have. I know I done just ran my mouth for about a good 20, 30 minutes here.
No, you are right on time, and I'm trying to communicate with Facebook. Some of the comments are showing up. Are you able to see the comments?
I hadn't been. I was just looking. What everybody talking about?
Oh,
so one question is, how can you give space?
Yeah.
For others to reflect on the past as they make decisions to look back.
You said, how do we give space to do that?
Yeah, how do we give space to others to reflect on their past as they make decisions to look back and grab the baton? Because a lot of us have made many mistakes in the past.
Right.
I.e. coming out to everybody, i.e. Marrying a woman or a man, knowing in the hell we don't want them.
Right.
Just doing things to satisfy our pastor, our mothers and fathers, as such.
Right. Well, here's what I believe, right? Because some of this has to be about taking some sacred time and some sacred space for ourselves. What I do believe is that you cannot manifest out of alignment. And so a lot of times when there are things that we say, well, God said I was going to have this, and God said I was going to have this and these things, because you can't live a lie and be in alignment at the same time. You either going to be in alignment or in alignment. Okay. And there's a lot of people in alignment. Okay. And so what happened, I mean, it's the reality, is that we talk about the law of attraction. We talk about to ask and allow and receive. That is about being in alignment. Right. So there are times when I have said, I want to lose weight. Okay. And I have put on my clothes, right? I have driven to the gym, and I have sat in the parking lot on the phone with my best friend for an hour, and then turned around and came home. Ain't no weight was lost that day, right? Out of alignment, right? Alignment is what you think, what you say, and what you do. And that is how you accelerate manifestation. So a lot of us, we can't get the blessings of God because we ain't in alignment. And so for me, right, is I want the blessings of God. I want everything that God got stored up for me. So what does that mean? That means I'm going to take the time. I'm going to take my sacred space. I'm going to be reflective. I'm going to go to therapy, because when I went to therapy, I wanted to know what my blocks were, right? What my blind spots were, because they're blind spots. I can't see them. So my therapist helped me to understand some things that were blocking me. Mm-hmm. I encourage everybody to go to therapy. So when we talk about what people need to do, people have to figure out, one, you got to take the sacred space and time for yourself. You had like nobody's going to give you sacred space and time.
I agree.
I like that.
I agree wholeheartedly. I was actually counseling a young lady yesterday, and one of her issues is her parents. And everything that she does now, she does it to please her parents. And because she's married a woman, they have withheld their love and support from her, which the parent already know what they're doing, right?
Right.
So when she got through telling me everything, and I'm writing down everything, and I told her, I said, you know what? I said, you made your parents your God.
That's it. That's it. And that's it.
So
and that's it.
This stop whenever you want it to stop. But first we got to get rid of some of this trauma that you got.
Yeah.
Because really who is making the decisions for you is your little girl. And I told her
about that today.
And I said, your inner child is running you because you're still seeking approval from that 10-year-old child.
Yeah.
And that's how you show up when you're around them. And that's how they treat you because you're 32.
Yeah.
So, and you married.
Yeah.
But you still trying to get mama and daddy love.
Yeah.
And I said, but if you do some investigation, I can guarantee you that mom and daddy haven't healed from their trauma.
That's real good. That's
Go back and talk to them when they were once children. And then you begin to understand why you are the way you are and why they are the way they are.
Right, right. And I think that people confuse the honoring our parents with making them our God. For me, the honoring my parents to me means living up to my full potential. Right.
Yes.
It means actualizing myself in this in this physical body. Right. It means living in alignment. That to me is how I honor my parents, not by making them my God. Right. God is God all by God's self.
Right. And that's what I told her. I said, I never once said be disrespectful.
Yeah.
You also have to have some healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
In this relationship, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that encompasses like all of us, even with how you show up in your religion. You know, like a lot of people, pastors are their gods. And that's why they believe a lot of things that they believe, because they take it as at face value, because I'm going to say it like Dr. Black was saying on Friday, pastor.
Yeah.
And, you know, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all.
And it's not even fair to put those people on that pedestal like that. I believe it's irresponsible, and I believe it's lazy. Because I think I think people don't want to do the work to really understand who they are in God, as God, with God. It takes a lot of deep sacred work to release certain people of responsibility and accountability, and to take your own accountability and responsibility.
Absolutely.
But you have to remember, let's go back and reflect. Brother Malcolm said, "Who taught you to hate yourself?"
That's good.
So you have to remember, when we were in these sacred spaces that did not affirm us, we had the pastor who taught us to hate ourselves.
That's good.
And then he turned around and taught us to love him at the same time. So we going back and forth with this tug of war. We don't know what to do.
Right.
And we were too lazy to do the work to become liberated.
Yeah, that's it.
So somebody else who did the work came along, liberated us, and now we are liberated. Well, we say we're liberated. Some of us are not liberated.
Right.
Some of us still slaves. But you have to remember, that person taught you to hate yourself. It's like an abusive relationship.
Oh, that's good.
I love you and I hate you.
Yeah. And that's going to be some of the deep rooted work that African people in America, right, are going to have to do, that we are going to have to do. That's the Sankofa work, to go back. Like you said, to go back. That's a question. Who taught you to hate yourself? That's a question. That's a question you got to look back, right? That's why the bird is looking back, because you got to go and answer those questions. You might have to go sit on somebody's couch to answer that question. It's a real question.
Absolutely.
A real question.
And that's
Tough
exactly
question to answer.
it's so funny that we're having this conversation because it's almost like you were in the room, you all were in the room with us, and it was supposed to be an hour consultation. It went to like an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes. But that's what I told her. I said we gotta go back, you know, and that's why I want to start. And she wants to talk about because her parents send her to hell all the time about being same gender loving. I said, I don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah.
You know, I said, we can solve that real quick. But I said, but what I want to talk about is your trauma. Because people, they were quick to say post-traumatic stress. No, it's called chronic stress.
That's it. That's it. It's still happening.
It's still happening.
Yeah.
So let's start there. You know,
right.
With this child. And
I'm always asking the question, did anybody family member, did anybody ever lose a family member after they came out?
Yes.
Or because they came out? No, what I'm saying is, did anybody die?
No.
Oh.
That's what did anybody die because you decided you was going to be gay? If ain't nobody died, keep living.
Well, honey, you know, you have people, I mean, they have been so brainwashed, you know, from a child, and then they've been conditioned. I don't want to say brainwashed, they've been conditioned. And that goes like as far as like what we're talking about now. So we were talking about dismantling white supremacy. And that's why we're having this conversation, because all of the fight that African Americans have is rooted in white supremacy. That's why our movements don't work. Because when we get together and we mobilize, we use the same system that they use.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
So we're incorporating the same principles, the same teachings in our movements to fight them. So they already know the tricks. They know how to come in and quickly disrupt this movement, because they're going to infiltrate us. They're going to send some folks in and cause dissension. And that's not how our ancestors fought in the art of war. So we don't even have our own war tactics.
We got to go back.
Right. And if you look at other countries like Russia or the communists or Asian Americans, they mobilize totally different.
And it's one of the reasons we were talking about exactly that today, was saying like why, when we think about in terms of the relay race, why so many other races? I mean, outside of the fact that we've really only been in the race for the last 40 years, like, let's be honest, 40, 50 years here. But I do believe we're going to be given an opportunity to catch up. I don't know how long it's going to take us to catch up, but I still feel like there are other people who come to this country or the cultures that come to this country that have figured out that relay race, right? They figured out that relay race. Like my mother is a real estate agent, and she has worked with Vietnamese families who have a system, right? Of somebody gonna buy the house, and then they're gonna save some money, and somebody else gonna buy the house, and then everybody gonna save some money, and it's a relay race, right? To make sure that everybody gets ownership. But they have figured it out. We have not figured out how to run this race. And that's why I say the crucial part of that relay race is passing the baton. Like, that is one of the most critical pieces in the race, is to figure out that rhythm. And that's something we got to figure out, but we got to go back. But,
you know, that's real interesting. You said that it's a store downstairs from where I live, and they're run by Middle Easterners. And we were in the store last week, and 3 Middle Easterners walked in the store and asked the owner girlfriend. They said it's a restaurant next door that they're getting ready to open. So just say Taiwan. Hey, is Taiwan here? She said no. And they said, we need the keys for the restaurant because we business partners. She didn't even know them. She did not even know them, and gave them the keys to the restaurant.
Wow.
Yes. And they went in and was doing their thing in the restaurant.
Relay.
Yep.
That goes back to what I said in the very beginning about unity and harmony. If we do not come together with unity and harmony, this is not going to work. All those trumpeters who support number 45, they support him no matter what.
No matter what.
No matter what he does.
As foolish as it is.
Foolish as it is.
Yeah.
Going against science, committing adultery, kids out of wedlock, divorce, talking degrading women. They don't care they support him no matter what. And that should show, especially black folks, something. That if we support our black folks, no matter what, even if they do mess up, we need to bring them in the circle. Bring them in the circle and talk to them. Don't criticize them in public. Don't disown them. Talk to them, and let's move on. But these white people who support Trump, those white supremacists, and those in the closet white supremacists, they support him no matter what. And so that's why the time now is right for us to evolve our lives and to learn about teachings such as Sankofa and empower ourselves to be better people. Because if we don't, we're going to perish.
Right. And no, I was going to say, and to understand that it is more about them upholding the agenda than it is about the person, right? Yes. There is an agenda. There is like you said, there is the supremacy, the construct, the social construct is what they want to hold in place. They fought a whole war trying to uphold a social construct. You understand what I'm saying? To uphold slavery. So there's no end that people will not go to maintain, right, their privilege. And that's what they want to uphold. They don't care who the person is. They don't care that it's 45. That's why they don't care what he do. That's why they don't care what he say. They only care that he is upholding the agenda of their people.
And that agenda has worked over the last 400 years. That agenda that you're speaking about has killed our leaders who knew the answer.
Yeah.
Dr. King, Malcolm X, all those guys, they knew the answers. They knew the answer. But we were so blinded by their agenda, about the little money they gave us to come in and infiltrate and destroy our agenda to become free. We took the money. Yeah. And we killed our people who were sent here to do this work, to make us look back. Like Harriet Tubman. We talked about this last time, why she carried that gun. She knew what to do. Yeah. She had people questioning her about what she was doing. Right. And it worked.
Right.
And are you sure we need to go this way, Harry? Are you sure we need to go through this water? Bring your ass on. Let's go. No, I want to go. Give me that shotgun. Get rid of him so we can get through going. We got to go. And it's just really sad that
imagine that, right? Imagine that. She's telling y'all, like, y'all know this woman here directly from God, right? Yeah. And y'all gonna still question her.
Yeah. I need to go get me a shotgun. I got a couple of folks I need to get rid of. Put some BBs in and shoot them right in their tail. They don't listen to nothing.
Nothing.
And continue to go through the same thing over and can't keep a job, can't pay bills, always angry, always mad. And we tell them little small things what to do, and they won't listen. But anyways, that's a whole nother subject.
I mean, a lot of people, and that was like really important for us to have somebody that we knew could carry this topic and could carry this conversation, because, like, for instance, people don't understand that mass incarceration is a social construct of white supremacy.
Yeah. Yeah, if you understand that the first police and the first jails were constructed the year that slavery ended to be able to keep some form of slavery going, right? Then you can look back and you can see what's being done. And I don't necessarily know that I have the answers, right? But I do think a part of it is about creating our own.
Yes.
Right. We have to create our own. I just saw that there was 19 families here in Georgia, about an hour and a half away from Atlanta or so, that have bought like 19 acres that they got the space is called Freedom Land. Right. Yes. And they're building on this land because they said they needed to have a safe space for their black men and their black boys, for farming and all of these things that they're going to do. And we got to create our own space. And I remember one of my professors at FAMU said this, and I think it took me a minute to catch on to what he was saying, kind of some life living. But he said that one of the worst things that happened to us as African Americans was integration, was segregation. It was integration. That was one of the worst things that happened. He said, because we had our own doctors and our own dentists and our own teachers and our own, land and our own banks and our own, and then we wanted to be integrated with their system because for some reason we continue to uphold the ideal for them, right? That they are the measuring stick.
Right.
Right, and that their gaze, if you GAZE, right, means something to us, right? We have to be affirmed from them. We have to be, confirmed from them. But if we could ever eliminate that gaze, right, to say, and that's really just for all of us, and that's just how I live my life. Like, hey, you can watch. I'm not watching you watch me, but you can watch because I'm gonna keep doing this thing that I've been called to do. Do you understand what I'm saying? But watch me though.
And my father has always said that was really the downfall, of the progression of us, the Black community, when they dismantled segregation. And you're right. And people also don't understand, like, what we have now with the police genocide. That's also a subtle way of white supremacy. And our lending institutions, the way that money flows and the way that you can't access capital and who controls the capital, like the wealthiest people are white, and they're white. And there's the population gap as far as what they make. A white family is like $110,000, and a Black family is like $38,000 a four.
I agree with you. I think that with the buying power that we have as an African American community, if we ever, like you said, if we ever mobilized that buying power, right, we wouldn't have to go to white lending institutions.
Yes.
We would have our own banks that we could borrow our own Black money from.
Yes.
If we ever mobilize, and I think to your point when you guys talk about Malcolm and Martin and them,
I think she froze up again. So we'll bring it on in, and so we was talking about just all of the pillars, like, of white supremacy, and how they uphold the institution of the society and the world that we live in. We'll wait till Dr. Power come back in because we got about 5 minutes left. And if you got any questions for us, and then we can pass on to her, you guys shoot them to us. And we'll definitely make sure she get them. She's back with us. So they come in and saying they're really getting this, and they really enjoying it, and they've been to, understanding, and it's a lot deeper. And we can't go into it in the scope and the magnitude, and we encourage you to go to YouTube, spend some time on YouTube. I promise there's a wealth of information out there. This recording to YouTube, and one from Dr. Black.
Yes.
And the one from Dr. Bowers. And David and I, we had a power outage last week, so we couldn't really do our part 3, our presentation on Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, to really tie in what they were fighting against and the systems, and how these systems have been embedded in our psyche as Black people, and why we all fight each other. And we would even get out in front of the white supremacists and do the work for them. So
that's good.
Oh, absolutely. Black people, nobody can be trusted. It's like, I think I was talking in Bible study last night, and I gave an example how they have constructed this whole thing. Black is bad, white is good.
Yeah.
Food is
there
black.
You go.
Angel food is white.
Okay.
Everything. When you think about it, if you wear black all the time, that's evil. That's darkness.
Right. To be blackballed, be blacklisted.
Right. And heaven is white, and the angels are white, and if you black, you're a witch, and you wear them all black. So they equate, and it goes on down and on down and on down and on down. And next thing you know, you begin to believe it. And then, like you said, you use that measuring gauge. Like you have the Black community. They had a big argument the other day talking about light-skinned and people have privilege.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So, and they want to light-skinned people to apologize for doing jobs like this. So we just really thank you for taking time. And if you're not finished,
Oh no, this was amazing. I saw one question. It said, can you recommend a book for those who struggle with coming out to their families and question their salvation? That's Gwendolyn Martin. I don't have a book to recommend. If you would, you guys, and I'll give you guys my information in terms of following me. I will certainly try to find some resources. Maybe we can help Gwendolyn with that question. Her with the question that she has, but that's what I have, y'all. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I know that we have a long way to go, but it begins with a conversation. It really begins for me with being unapologetically who we are.
Yes.
I believe getting in alignment with who we are being called to be. And in Christ and God and whatever people believe, and that's the way I'm living my life.
Yeah, so to answer Gwen, we have material.
Okay.
We have David's dissertation was in the LGBTQ community and what is it, Christianity? What was it?
Liberation of the I wrote it 2 years ago. I forgot it now. Liberation of the LGBTQ community through spiritual empowerment.
That's good.
Something like that. I forgot
So
it.
it was based on those 7 scriptures that people often use to condemn homosexuality.
Right.
All those scriptures are misinterpreted. And that's all it is. And so we have those 7 scriptures. Like I have a PowerPoint I can send you, and it breaks it down. And one of the most popular ones they use is Leviticus. And then they use the Sodom and Gomorrah story to always want to say that, see, this is what God said. And that's as far as from the truth as you can go to the moon tomorrow. So,
right.
And it's not supported, by any of that. And that's what people use, and that's what you argue with. But I'm like you, Dr. Foster. I don't argue those scriptures anymore. Bishop Flounder said she told him out of her Bible.
Right. They was tearing everything else out the Bible they didn't want to hear.
Hello.
Nah. Yes, well, we got some work to do, but it begins with you guys doing this powerful work that you are doing, bringing this show consistently great information to people every Thursday. And so I encourage people to tune in and to listen. You guys always have amazing guests because you will learn something from the conversation, and this is what it's about.
Yes.
Well, absolutely. And I just thank you again. I think I had your website up here. Let me find it real quick and put it back in the captions.
Awesome.
I'm playing with my new toy.
Yes. And those people that want to follow me, they can certainly follow me at Lakara with the Gift on Instagram, Facebook. My website is Lakara with the Gift. The store I'm opening in a couple of weeks is Lakara with the Gift here in Atlanta. Come and check us out. It's amazing. I can't wait for you guys to come down and visit. You guys are gonna love it.
I know. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm just excited for you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
On even being blessed during the pandemic. And
listen.
And your T-shirts 2020 not canceled.
2020 is not canceled, okay? 2020 is not canceled. This is the most critical time in our life. If we don't get in alignment right now, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, we thank you for taking time out. I know it's late in Atlanta. It's like 9 o'clock there.
Girl, it's still early. You know how we work. How we work.
And we just thank everybody for taking time out and hanging with us tonight. Following us.
I found my book. I found my dissertation. That's a shame. I forgot the name of it. Lord have mercy.
Okay, what's the name?
It's liberating the LGBTQ spirit through Christian empowerment, facilitating life empowerment sessions for LGBTQ individuals.
Nice.
And this is published now. I got to go get my hard copy. I put it in the chat box, but hey, we can Gwendolyn and I wrote a whole dissertation on how to get free.
We got the information.
Yes,
Right.
especially with that damn King James Bible that all these black folks love. And so and that was the reason I did this, to debunk that damn King James Bible that we believe in as black folks and we hold sacred, just to debunk it by doing this right here.
The research.
So I put in the chat, the research. My goodness. They have done the work on us. Lord have mercy.
I'm trying to tell you. And there's some people that want to perpetuate it for their own profit.
Yes, they have done the work on us.
Oh, it's profitable. You know, people buying jets now, $60 million.
Look at me blinking. Listen.
Oh, Lord. Well, hey.
Did you give your information how to get in contact with you, Lakara?
I did. I absolutely did. I thank you guys for this time. Thank you guys for this hour of power, okay?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so we're like right on time.
Yes.
We still got our viewers. And we just thank you all for hanging with us tonight. And we'll see you all next Thursday for Unleashed Thursday right back here. So we haven't gotten our guest yet, but trust me, we'll have one by Thursday.
Have an amazing night.
I thought we were coming back Thursday to finish that the last part of the session.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, we got to finish this last part.
All right. So if y'all finish, we're gonna go out of here, and we appreciate y'all.
Good night.